All right, everybody. I'm coming to you live right here on the seawall in the Gulf. That's right. We're in the Gulf of Mexico. And you know, this is hurricane season, y'all. And this is where all the hurricanes going to start, right out here in the Gulf. But the biggest hurricane today is I'm happy, man. I survived 50 years without my mother. And you know, when you lose your mother, ain't nobody left to cover your back and take care of you but God. And it's been a real roller coaster ride, up and down. You know, from the time my mother got killed on her own front porch, and I will write a book about that. I'm not going to go into that because today is about me and how God helped me survive these 50 years. And trust me, it wasn't easy. You know, the biggest thing that I had hurt in 1971 after losing my mother, the biggest thing that hurt me was my birthday, because that's a day don't nobody recognize but your mother, because she the one was going into labor and going through them 9 months to deliver you, so she will never forget your birthday. And my first birthday, March the 19th, 1972, without my mother, I was lost. I was in pain because nobody even recognized my birthday. And you know, that's the reason why, Facebook family, I don't care who you are, whoever birthday it is, if you're a friend of mine, I'm going to wish you a happy birthday, whether or not I know you or not, because that's your day. That's your day. 4th of July, all the other holidays, that's everybody's holiday, but your birthday is your personal holiday. And Lord, I miss my mother on my first birthday. And it wasn't about Christmas and New Year's Eve and Thanksgiving and all of that, not even July 4th. It was all about my birthday. That's why I will always wish all of my friends, whoever they want to wish a happy birthday, I want to wish them a happy birthday too, because that means so much to you, to know that somebody's out there caring for you. And I go to say this, that it's been an uphill and downhill roller coaster ride for me after the tragedy of my mother in 1971. And we're going to go by this because this is my day. You know, I do videos for everybody's days, but this is my day. Robert Boo Lee Williams Day, because I am happy. I survived 50 years without my mother. Ain't too many people can vouch up for that. That's a record, man. To me, that's a milestone. And like I say, that first birthday in 1972, without my mother, it was painful. And I went through a lot. I changed jobs like I was changing shoes. And one thing about it, I was good. And they recognized my talent. And most of all, they gave me a lot of position because of my personality. And most of all, when I put on that application, Jack Yates, trust me, they knew then that I am a responsible person. So they hired me. And once they hired me, I showed them how good I was on getting along with people, because I am a people person. And I left that job, the first job, I lost my job at Rainbow because I couldn't function right. And I couldn't blame the people at Rainbow. They couldn't keep up with that. That was my mother. That's my tragedy. That wasn't, you know, business got to go on. I learned that. Life goes on. No matter what tragedy happened, life will go on. And then in 1971, after I lost my job probably around about July, about a little after the 4th of July in 1971. And then it wasn't long before I got me another job, trust me. But I didn't stay there long. I went to work for Frito-Lay. I didn't stay there long. I went to work for Anheuser-Busch, Budweiser, delivering beer. I didn't stay there long. I went to delivering potato chips for Frito-Lay. I didn't stay there long. And then I decided one day, what do I want to do with my life? And that's when I decided to say, hey man, I know the law enforcement and the criminal justice system is not functioning right, because the man that killed my mother, they didn't give him no time. But like I say, this is about me and my survival. And when I got through with that, leaving that job from Frito-Lay, I went to work for Nabisco Cookers. I left that job. Then I went to work for another company called Lone Star Beer. I left that job. Then I went over to a Hillman Distributing Company, which is Schlitz Beer, to sell beer for Schlitz. I didn't stay there long. I just wasn't functioning, man, without my mother, man. And all the people who I thought that loved me, they only loved me because of my mother. I want you to know this. And then finally I said, I know what I want to do. I want to be somebody where people can recognize my talent. And what other place to be than disc jockeying on the radio station. And I'd like to say thanks. Who saved my life was KYLK, Rick Roberts. When Rick hired me to work at KYLK, that was the biggest thing in my life. Things started going uphill. In 1972, it took me 1 year. Now, I changed all them jobs in less than a year. Because in June of 1972, Rick Roberts gave me a job, a little part-time job, working on Sunday nights at KYLK, being a disc jockey. And I didn't want to use Robert Williams. I didn't want to use Boo Lee, because I felt like people was not going to be able to give me my respect, and thought that, you know, I was a big joke and I couldn't read because I wasn't very smart in school. I just wasn't the idea I wasn't smart in school. The idea I didn't go to goddamn class. And that's the bottom line. So, Boo Lee wasn't dumb. Boo Lee just didn't go to class. That's why I flunked so much. But I went to summer school, made it up, and I graduated. That's why a lot of people thought I wasn't going to graduate. That's the reason why I post my graduation picture, to let some of these critics know that I did graduate from Jack Yates. I didn't quit school like some of them thought I did. And when I started at KYLK, working on the Sunday nights, and Don Sam was trying to get in radio at the same time that Rick hired me. I was working around KYLK before Don. And Don Sam wanted to get on the air, and Rick let me work on Sunday nights behind Carl Harris, just one night a week. And he didn't pay me. He just wanted the station on so it could keep the listeners after Carl Harris do the gospel show. And me and Don Sam, I let Don read the news, because we working for free, and Rick don't mind. And Don was doing my newscast. And that's how we started working on Sundays at KYLK. And then finally, Rick Roberts gave me the biggest break, and that was giving me a part-time job at KYLK where I can get on the payroll. And that was working on Saturday night and Sunday afternoon. And that started me going good. Right then I felt the energy and the life, thanks to people like Don Sam, Rick Roberts, George Boogaloo Frazier. What can I say about him, man? He was the biggest help, him and Rick. And then being around Don Sam and being around Ernie G and being around Dave Feller. Dave Feller was a big help, because Dave was the one who used to let me come in and run the control boards before I even got on the air. The late but never forgotten Dave Feller, man. I wouldn't have made it without Dave Feller, Luther. Dave helped me a tremendous amount. And every time I hear music on there, I listen to music, I think about the people who played that music. When I hear the Charlites, I think of Baby Dave. When I think of different music, I think of Boogaloo, and I think of Rick Roberts, and I think of Don Sam, I think of Bobby O.J., and I think about all the good record promoters I met, like Don Carter, T.C. Thompson. Oh man, Charles Godfrey, Helfer. Oh man, it was a life to go with. But I was only working part-time. I need a full-time job. I'm taking care of my stepfather, because he lost. He became more of an alcoholic, so I got to monitor him. And I'm staying with him. I went through 3 divorces in the last 50 years. But it's all good. And I'm single today. And I'm happy with it is. But then when I was working at the radio station, I needed a full-time job. And who do I go to? My reliable Rainbow Bread. See, I done went to certain companies 3, 4, 5 times. They had hired me back at Rainbow. And counting this last time when Rainbow turned into Sara Lee, that's 6 times at Rainbow. I was hired 4 times at Sunbeam Bakery, Flowers. The Nature's Own bread that you buy, they hired me 4 different times. Thanks to Mr. Dan Harrison, Mike Lawson, I was rehired. And you know, when I look back and then I go back and things was working great. I'm making money. I was making so much money, I didn't know what to do with it. The people at Rainbow told me that the bookkeeper made a personal phone call and told me, Robert, go cash them checks, because you're holding up my bookwork. I just show you how much things was going on and how much I was doing so good at this time. And this is in 1972. And I tried to get a car, they wouldn't finance me a car because of my credit. But let me show you how that worked. That same year, I met Mr. Yago, and he had always, everybody knew me. Whatever route I go on, people know my smile and my personality, and they know me, and they like me. Just like I got all these friends on Facebook. I was having these friends way back in the day, before I got on social media. And I thank all of you guys. And when Yago told me about a store in 3rd Ward he having problems with, I told him that I would love to have that store, because it was in 3rd Ward and that's why I know people at. And he told me the store was a bad store and blah, 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 but I didn't care. He told me I worked 7 days. I didn't care, because I'm used to working 7 days, because I was a store manager at 7-Eleven, the first black store manager, just on that proclamation. And I understand my credit is bad. I couldn't even get a car finance. And this is when I learned it ain't about you and your credit. It's about the people who you know. And that's what I got, a $55,000 loan when I couldn't even get a $3,000 loan from a finance company. But Mr. Sheps told me that if I go out there and clean that store up, he would front me the money to open that store and send me some groceries out there. And I opened my store up there on the corner of Nellerton and Webster. And it was called Jones Groceries. I named it after my stepfather, because he had been so torn up, because he was there when my mother was shot down on our front porch. He was the one who called the ambulance. So I always took care of him. And when I got my grocery store, man, I was happy. And one of the most happiest person in the world for me, he even put on a sales paper in his office with Rick Roberts. Rick put a sales paper in his office. And when I had my first sales. And I'd like to thank Mr. Leroy Allen, David Creighton, T.J. Johnson, all of them guys, and don't forget David LaFleur. All them guys with the God gifts of women helped open up my grocery store. They did a live concert for me for the grand opening. That was wonderful. But I'm still can't get over the death of my mother. I worked so hard till I worked down into a nervous breakdown. Yes, in 1977 I had a nervous breakdown. I had a club, I had a store, plus I was working on a radio station. I was working 7 days a week, every day. And how my schedule would start: in the morning, I work in the morning. I go to work at 10 o'clock at KCOH. When I leave KCOH, I go and relieve my wife, Miss Sandra Hobbs Williams, relieve her at the grocery store. And when I relieve her at 2 o'clock, when I get off the air, my wife go and open up the club, clean the club up and all this together. And when I close the club, the grocery store up at 8:30, I'm on the way to the club out there in Sunnyside. Used to be Al's Lounge, right across the street from Skipper Lee Venus Motel. And when I get to that club, My wife go home, and I give her all the paperwork and give her the money, let her go home so she can sort out the money and make the bank statements out so she can deposit the money in the bank. And at the same time, I run the club at night. And I did that for 7 days a week because I never closed the club. I opened Monday through Sunday. And when I worked at the radio station, I never got a day off because I was hired to do the gospel show on Sunday. And when I left KYLK, that's why I went to work over at KCOH, so I can run my club, because I didn't have nobody run my club at night. And when I left the club at 2 o'clock in the morning, I got home about 3 or 3:30. I was so tired, I don't count no money. I just throw the money to my wife, put it in a bag, and take it home to my wife. And what had happened, I worked myself to a nervous breakdown trying to get over the tragedy of not having my mother around. Wow, this is deep, man. And this happened in 1977. I had a #1 show at KYLK before I left to go to work at KCOH in 76. And when I left to go to work over at KCOH, I relieved Gladys Gigi Hill. I was supposed to just go and start working on Sunday, but Gigi had getting ready to retire and they needed somebody to fill in. And I wound up filling in for Gigi. Plus, I wound up doing my Sunday show. So I was working 7 days a week at KCOH. And I know, and I say this too, because this is something that needs to be said. You would think when I got saved, it started me a bank account, it started me some credit, and I got to also think a lot of people in the car business other than Grady Johnson, such as the late but never forgotten Charles Bell, who taught me how to finance cars. You know, I think about Max Stevens, who gave me all of the energy to get me pumped into selling cars. Because when I would start selling cars, I used to make flyers and go out to all the different churches and put the flyers out. Good, bad, ugly critic, call me. And Max Stevens over there at Galleria Ford taught me how to get out there and sell cars. And I owe a lot to Max Stevens. He's the general manager for Don McGill Toyota, both Toyota stores. And what can I say about Mr. Dennis Frederick, who was the sales manager, who always gave me the energy to keep going. Stay out there. They'll tell you, I used to be out in that sun waiting on somebody. I was what they call a lot lizard. I run to everybody. I don't care what they want and try to get them in. Once I get them in and sit them down, I get people like Max Stevens and Kamal, even Steve Burkhart to close the deal out, and I get a half a deal. Half a deal is better than no deal. While they working on that, I'll go out and get another from somebody. Man, I was making so many half a deals. In 1 month, I was the salesman of the month at Galleria Ford. And what can I say about Dennis Frederick? He's the general manager over there at Greenway Plaza, Mercedes. And then the man who helped me get my home and helped me get not only my home that I live in now for over 21 years, Mike Batches over there at Bill Hurd Chevrolet. Mike, the one co-signed it. He didn't co-sign, but he was a reference of how I got my loan through the bank to buy this property that also was a landlord. They gave me the assets of being a landlord. Mike Batches is the president of Sugarland Mercedes. See, them people do things for me. God rewarded them, man. And I love them for it. And I'm so thankful to be here in 2021 and knowing that I made 50 years without my mother. Because, trust me, your mother is the only one that's going to protect your back. It is what it is. And like I say, one reason why she's going to protect your back, because no other somebody went through 9 months of carrying you around in their stomach, in their belly. Took a life to take a chance on their life to deliver you, because everybody woman that goes in to deliver a baby, they don't always come out alive. There ain't no guarantee. So your mother took a chance on her life to bring you in this world. That's why she loved you so much. I'm sorry. That's the reason why a lot of people recognize Mother's Day and don't really give the respect to Father's Day like it's supposed to be done. But I'm so thankful for you guys. And what can I say? This is the most happiest day of my life. It's June the 22nd, 2021, 50 years after the tragedy of my mother, of June the 22nd, 1971. Thank you.